When we speak about bubbles, many say that ESG could be a bubble. Obviously, the pandemic has caused, a distortion of asset prices because of momentum. What are your thoughts on things like, even if you give a couple of minutes on each, the phenomenon of the rise of ESG investing and the problems with that, or the value in that, and also things like cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and this new innovation of NFTs? Have you got any thoughts on these topics?
Well, on ESG, I don't quite see that as a bubble. I do think there's a lot of enthusiasm around ESG, but there are a lot of regulatory issues which I think will force the pace of ESG, particularly the environmental side of this. I think there's enough regulation, there's enough tough goals that there will be new money deployed to try to help green initiatives, and so I think I think that you know perhaps every asset in that that is seen as a green technology. Maybe there are many that are overpriced, but I think the enthusiasm for this is going to continue because, frankly, the climate is going to continue to get warmer, and we do see a rise in green parties around the world. I think there's more interest in it among the voting public. So I think that will continue. On cryptocurrencies, they're nonsense. And they are nonsense. And it's fascinating to me because I've seen this so many times before, and there have been many examples over history, but there is nothing about Bitcoin that makes it worth more than the price of a cup of coffee. Yes, it's blockchain technology, fine. But there's nothing to stop me from setting up Zitcoin or Mitcoin, or my favorite personally is David Kelly coin. And I promise to only hold 20% of the issues myself. Everything else you can get into the ground floor, please step right up. But it is nonsense because there's nothing that guarantees its convertibility into gold or one of the world's leading currencies. What's more, it is a threat to authorities around the world because its best use is for money laundering. It is not a useful currency in that it's not a store of value, unit of account, or medium of exchange.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, people are excited because it's going up, and they pretend to understand it, but they don't understand it. And then it gets a further veneer of respectability from financial firms who say, "Oh, we will trade this, or we'll set up an ETF in this, or we will do this, or we'll do that." And blockchain technology, I'm sure, is very useful, and I think that there will be reasons for digital assets going forward, as opposed to, for example, people carrying around euro notes or dollar notes in their pocket. Yes, you can see some growth in this, but the idea of autonomous currencies where you're not to know who bought and who sold, and some mysterious person is the original founder and holder of all this wealth, this is silliness, and it will turn out very badly at some stage. And I just worry that too many individual investors will get lured into it. It's just a 21st century version of the Emperor's New Clothes. And I think that of digital art or whatever too. I mean, it's silliness.
If you'd like to hear this interview in its entirety, then head on over to SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, or any other major podcast platform and search Four Corners Podcast.